life happens. Like
Mm.
bad things happen all the time, but that doesn't mean that I don't have joy in my heart. That doesn't mean that I can't be excited about the day. I can't be excited about a project that I'm working on or the work that I'm doing. And so I think that for me, joy is permanent. Joy is a part of me. It's a part of my DNA. I'm not always happy, but I can be joyful in sorrow.
What is good, y'all? It is your boy, Jonathan Dumas, and this is Highly Visible and a Little Misunderstood, the show where we talk to the people we see every day because we don't know what we miss until we miss them. And we back, y'all. It's also fucking hot. If you're in Southern California, you probably know that there are all kinds of heat advisories and stuff like that going on. So please stay cool any way you can. But we are back into our series, on the tail end of our series on joy. And it has been, as I've been saying, every single week, so fun to have these conversations and share them with you. I've learned a lot, and I can't wait for our season closer in a couple weeks to just share my own reflections. Last week, though, if you missed it, you missed a banger, because I had my friend Lewis Bird on, where we talked about being solution-oriented in a problem-saturated world, responsible innovation, housing headaches, and being a homeowner, and how small, consistent action can make room for joy. It's honest, it's hopeful, and absolutely worth your time. So go ahead and cue that one up next if you haven't caught that one. But today, y'all, I am sitting down with my friend Shauntelle Carnegie, who is an absolute delight, by the way. We had a really good time. Shauntelle is a multi-creative and employee experience strategist and founder of Black Girl Season. And really, this conversation felt like just a deep breath. I had all kinds of aha moments in this thing. We wandered through the difference between happiness and joy and what it means when fear disguises itself as being stuck. A really good tidbit in the conversation around that. That's called a tease in the industry. Also, we talked about how joy doesn't always have to be loud or even linear. Sometimes it just looks very, very different, and it's still real. Shauntelle also shared her practice around joy stacking, which you pair something that's hard and you pair it with something that you get like pleasure in, or you find joy in, or little sparks, and it just makes that hard thing really easy. Like, if you're job searching or networking or anything like that, it's just try joy stacking. She talks about it and breaks it down here. I love it. And we laughed about, the way Black culture isn't just entertainment, it's survival, it's a way to connect, but also profoundly, it's a way to tell the truth. And we get deep into that later on. So this was a great conversation. It was thoughtful, funny, and really one of those conversations that sneaks up on you with the honesty and the truth bombs in it. So stay tuned for that. Before we dive into the conversation, as always, there are some really easy ways to support the show. If you haven't already, YouTube fam, tap that subscribe button, hit the bell, and drop a comment with one tiny way you're going to be joy stacking this week. And we are single digits from hitting our goal of 100 subscribers by the end of August. So please hit that subscribe button. Audio fam, follow, subscribe in your favorite podcast app. If you're feeling generous, leaving a rating and review always helps folks discover these conversations. And finally, and this is for everyone, if you can financially support the show by clicking our coffee link down below, that would be amazing, because this thing ain't free. I think that is it. That's enough. All right, let's get to this conversation with Shauntelle. All right, so
A little bit.
Shauntelle, welcome to Highly Visible and a Little Misunderstood. Thank you so much for joining the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Jonathan. I'm doing really good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we've been following each other on LinkedIn for a minute, and I don't remember how we got connected, but we got connected somehow. And I put out this call, for folks to tap into, share about joy, because for me, joy is just so deeply personal, and I don't know how to. In my opinion, the definition of joy just doesn't give the emotion, the feeling of joy justice. Like, I think
Mhm.
there's a connective tissue of joy or around like you know psychologically, mentally, emotionally, physically. There's all these different aspects of joy that we feel
Yeah.
in all kinds of different seasons of our lives. And so
Hmm.
it's deeply personal to me because it's one, a value of mine, both personal and
Hmm.
professional. And so I was like, why not have a deeper conversation about it? So you're one of the people
I
that
love it.
we had a cool conversation ahead of time. And yeah, just wanted to tap in with you further and have you on the show. So thanks so much for coming through.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate being here. I think your call on LinkedIn was like, okay, this is something I feel, as you said, very personally. Like this feels very personal to me,
Mm,
and I want to find ways to help other people explore joy in their life.
mm,
Um, so
yeah.
yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. When you saw the word joy, and I'm so curious because I think folks know what it is, but and like know when they're feeling it, but sometimes, they don't. Like expectations versus reality might be a little bit different. But for you, when
Hmm.
you hear the word joy or when you've experienced joy for yourself, like, what comes to mind for you?
Um, I am a product of the church,
Mm,
the Christian church, and I think my understanding of joy came from when I was very young. Um, and I was always taught that, happiness is fleeting, but joy is something permanent. Joy is something settled within you. And
mm,
so as an adult, um, finding joy and seeking joy has become um, a big part of I'd say the last 5 to 7 years or so, um, and understanding that like life happens, like
mm,
bad things happen all the time, but that doesn't mean that I don't have joy in my heart. That doesn't mean that I can't be excited about the day. I can't be excited about a project that I'm working on or the work that I'm doing. And so I think that for me, joy is permanent. Joy is a part of me. It's a part of my DNA. I'm not always happy, but I can be joyful in sorrow.
mm. I like that, and that's really beautiful. And I also am a product of the church. I don't attend anymore, but yeah, like all the, like
Oh,
as you were saying that, I just thought it was so interesting. Like a lot of my foundational understandings of joy, what it means to be happy, what it means to have peace, what it means to
mm-hmm.
um, uh, even be
Hmm.
joyful when be peaceful, be happy,
Hmm.
be content,
Yeah.
despite any of the circumstances. Like actually, that my foundation is the church, and then even like I think culturally, like
Hmm.
uh, Christianity or Christian faith is like I think is like a cultural like thing in black culture, at least in American black culture. It's just like
Yeah.
any black person I talk to that is like there's some language there that even if they didn't
Hmm.
go to church growing up, like they like kind of understand or get. And so that's so interesting. I didn't make that connection, or maybe more
Hmm.
accurately, I was resisting that connection as I've thought about joy or
Mm.
explored it in recent conversations. So
Sure.
that's so interesting that yeah, that you shared that, and I'm making that connection now. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think there's for people of color, period. Um, whether you're talking about Black Americans or you're talking about Black Caribbeans or um, Hispanic people, I think because we have overcome so much, we've had to find ways to um, seek joy and express joy and not be burdened down by the circumstances of life, right?
Mm,
Like when you think about, when you think about um, how you're seeing on TikTok and Instagram, like all these Black people doing line dances, and it's like, no, we are finding ways to be happy. We are finding ways to be a joy. We're finding ways to be in community with one another,
mm,
despite all the things that are going on, because we have to. Like, we
yeah.
can't. allow life to beat us down so bad that we're not able to smile, we're not able to laugh, we're not able to have fun. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That reminds me of something like anytime I go on like social media and
Hmm.
you go to the black side, when something happens, it doesn't matter what it is, you guaranteed, black internet is gonna make some kind of like joke and joy out of it. And I
It'll
just
be fun.
and I go like I'm on Spill, and I don't know if you've heard of Spill,
Hmm.
but yeah, I'm on Spill, and if there's any like big event that's happening, like that, I'm like, oh no, I gotta go. That's my go-to place because I'm just curious. What are folks gonna say? How are they gonna turn this around? And I think that there's something interesting there too. Is like it's not just like all jokes and all laughing. Like even though that's like really important in
Hmm.
the aspects of like joy, but I think even the uh like the commentary that happens around it too,
Sure.
although it can be funny, also are grounded in something that's like really real too.
Hmm.
Like I wish I had a really good example, but I feel like when they make a joke of like let's see, what is a good example? I don't have one, but essentially it's like they're doing all this stuff and like
Yeah.
we're next or whatever. It's just like no, that's funny, but it's like actually like low key that kind of might be real. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I mean, I think a really good example of that. So I'm not on Spill. Like I have a Spill account, but I'm
Mm,
not. I think I used it for like 2 weeks, and I was like, oh no, this is not for me.
yeah.
But when I think back to like the early days of Black Twitter,
Yeah.
and more recently, like with like political debates between uh, Trump and VP Harris,
Oh.
like you saw people like really making jokes and making light of the situation, but there was also a lot of truth. And I think the ways that we joke and laugh and engage with one another are often our ways of informing each other and staying on top of what is going on and
Mm,
making sure that we're aware of what's happening. It might be lighthearted, it might be funny, so on and so forth. But there's also um, a lot of information that comes from that. So I think that's a
mm.
really important part of our culture, especially like when you think about like millennials or zennials, like that is just how we have grown up,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah, that's so interesting, and I feel like we haven't. I love when I have conversations like this and just like exploring and going down the rabbit hole, but our rabbit
Yeah.
trail, rabbit hole. I don't know. Anyways,
Rabbit hole,
the
you're
yeah,
rabbit
okay,
hole.
rabbit hole. But I think that's such an interesting observation though, and I think that's so true. Like how often have I like seen a joke or a meme, and for me
Hmm.
I have like chosen to explore that area more or like gotten curious about, all right, what, hold on, like I could keep seeing a running joke or something like that, and it's been like a
Hmm.
full day of these jokes, like what's going on or what
Yeah.
happened that I need to explore a
Hmm.
little bit more. um and it's just so funny how like there is like levity to that side, but also it's grounded in like a realness that one could be very well cultural as far as like black folks or millennials or Gen whatever, but
Hmm.
it's just so interesting to me. Um, but all like foundationally, it's like making light of something
Hmm.
in a way that like is communicating like that this is something that may not be important, but it's a big deal, or you should be aware
Right.
of, and just like that is,
Hmm.
that's just such an interesting point and perspective. And I think outside looking in, some folks would probably see that as us not taking anything seriously, us
Hmm.
being like black folks. But the thing is, it's like you've already said it. Like historically, socially, um, we haven't been in positions of power to make widespread change that like is impactful, and so some of the only tools or ways of navigating um, trauma uh, or oppression or so on is
Hmm.
like the jokes,
Yeah.
which is why
Yeah.
I grew up making racial jokes all the time, and like then I get around a bunch of white people that have never said a racial joke ever, and it was just so really, just really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think even like if I think about like my LinkedIn content that has performed the absolute best,
Mhm.
I'm joking. Like,
Yeah.
like I remember like when the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef dropped.
Mm.
Like, I had jokes for days on LinkedIn, but that was a way for me to find community. So I think that's another angle from our joking or creating levity is like, who are my people? Where are my people?
Mm.
How do I call them in? And that has always worked for me on LinkedIn or any social media platform. That has always been a thing because it's like, no, wait a minute, you get the joke? Oh, great.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. We can have some excellent conversations.
Yeah.
Because some things people don't get and they're not meant to get, like, they're not meant to understand. And there has to be time and space for that. That's okay. Um, yeah. So I think there is a method to um, our storytelling, our joking, our levity, our dancing,
Mm.
our creating. There's a method to all of it. Even if we don't understand it on the surface, there's always something deeper with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There has to be some kind of class on this because this is like so fascinating. Like,
Let's teach it. Like, let's do
I
it.
know, like the subconscious or conscious ways of communicating within a
Yeah,
black culture. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because
I love it.
that's such a poignant point because the if we are like if we are using like that to say your example because I do this sometimes too of like I actually do love to laugh and make jokes all of the time. But like some of the content
Mm-hmm.
that I put on there is like really vulnerable, but I also do like a
Mm-hmm.
punchy like haha like in there.
Mm-hmm.
I do the same thing with the pod. Is like we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about joy and we've talked about the different facets of it, but like there's some haha moments throughout it, right? Whether it's like a very deep thing or a light thing or whatever. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I think using joy or like laughing or humor as like that connecting point has
Mm-hmm.
always been like my go-to method. One, because I think when people are laughing, it's hard to you know be an asshole. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like when you're connect, like a true like joy-filled happy moment. That is not
Mm-hmm.
at the expense of other people. I think that it's just really hard to like not connect in a real way. It's
Sure.
like there's a level of vulnerability that exists there. That's
Mm-hmm.
real. Uh, but another way, I love how you said like even using humor or like those things for folks who get the joke or understand the joke. It's like, oh, I found like people that I could potentially be in community with, um,
Yeah.
and laugh and joke with. And it's said that like comedians make really good drama actors because it's very difficult to make some folks laugh. Like it's easier to act
Yeah.
angry than it is to make a group of people laugh. That's why
Mm-hmm.
um, I mean, there's a long list of like comedians that have been like really good drama um, actors. Why am I
I believe
forgetting?
that.
Yeah, why am I forgetting his name?
Jamie Foxx is like a perfect example of
Oh,
that.
Jamie Foxx, perfect example.
Phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because they read the room,
I
they
love that.
understand how to connect with people, see people, even connect with their own like things that they've gone through, and spin it in a
Mm-hmm.
way that like not as light or making fun of themselves, but to some extent, yeah. Um, where like folks can actually be introspective about their own life while they're laughing at the same time. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think Jamie Foxx does that very, very well. I haven't seen his most recent stand up, but his whole most recent stand up was about
Mm-hmm.
his near death experience. Like he almost died, like very,
Right.
very close. So yeah, like that's such a really, really good point. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, uh, uh.
Nah, we need to teach a class on this, Jonathan.
I'm
I'm
telling
I'm
you.
hearing
I'm
it.
telling you. I'm telling you. When you so for what well, let me ask you this like straight up. We spent so much time talking about like um different aspects of joy and using levity and humor as an aspect of joy. What?
Hmm.
Well, let me ask you this: what was the funniest thing you heard this week, and why did it bring you joy?
Oh man. Okay. Um, the funniest thing I've heard this week. Oh, okay. I'm thinking. I'm thinking.
Yeah, and it doesn't.
Uh,
Maybe it
Put
doesn't
me on
even
the
have to be
spot.
heard. What made you like laugh the hardest this week?
Um,
Let's broaden it out.
what? Okay. So my husband is watching the NBA last night.
Mm,
Who's playing? The Pistons and the Knicks were
okay.
playing. We live in New York. Okay. Yes, I remember who was playing because we watched two games. Well, he
Mm.
watched two games. I was doing other things. um, but we're talking, we're chatting, blah blah blah, and I came in super hot. Like, I have to tell you this thing, and I caught myself like, "Are you really passionate?" And I realized like I had been holding on to this for hours, waiting to tell somebody. I There's a new soap opera that I watch called Beyond the
Okay.
Gate.
Oh, hold
Phenomenal.
on. Is it good?
It's good.
Okay.
It's good.
Okay.
And it started off kind of slow. It just started at the end of February, so it kind of started slow. But now
We're
we're
in it.
in the drama, we're in the comedy. Like, it's good.
Okay.
So, um, on yesterday's episode, the actor said, "In the club, we all fam," but they said it four times in the episode, and I was like, "Hey, one, we're not on that anymore, and two, like, that is too much. Like, just, once is funny, ha ha ha, but like, I was like, no, I need to tell somebody this who will understand, like, why this is too much." And
Yeah.
so that was my funny moment for yesterday. Like, hey, why do you care so much? Sis, like, relax. Like, but no, like, I I am in keeping with the theme of joy and seeking joy. That has become my thing, and so I've found ways to joy stack.
mm,
When you think about like atomic habits and you habit stack, I
mm.
found ways to joy stack. So
I love
whenever
that.
Beyond the Gates comes on, that is my time to be on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
It's my time to apply for jobs. It is my time to jump in people's emails. It's my time to set up coffee chats, all those things. And then when Beyond the Gates finishes, I finish.
Mm.
So I'm not spending my day anymore from when I wake up to when I go to bed, job searching and trying to network and trying to make things happen. It's like, no, I am going to create a joyful environment. I'm
Mm.
going to have a snack. I'm going to hydrate. I might exercise before or after, go for a walk. I feel like my life recently has become about finding ways to create as much joy in my life as possible.
Mm. I like that. Joy stacking. Come on now. So the
Yeah.
yeah, and I like how you found a way to put it into that I don't want to say box, but lack of a better word, box to
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
no, let's say container, like to be like, all right, I'm gonna watch something and do this stuff that is maybe a little draining, but I'm gonna
Hmm.
do it with a fun act or something that's bringing me joy or fulfillment at the same
Yeah.
time, and to like kind of bridge that gap, and making it a little
Hmm.
bit easier, a little dopamine boost as well. I
Yeah.
absolutely freaking love that. Where did you come up with that, or how did that like come about for you?
I don't know. Um, I feel like
That's the real
I
answer. I
feel
love
like
it.
I have a really good therapist who challenges me a lot.
Mm,
Um, I don't know if I can curse on this podcast, so I
you
won't. But
absolutely fucking can.
phenomenal. So I am a person. I've been in therapy on and off since I was about 13 years old.
Mm,
My mom and I moved from a really small town in Arkansas to Orlando, Florida, and all of my family is in Arkansas,
Mm.
or was at the time. Like people have moved since, but at that time, all of my family was in Arkansas, and I come from a huge family, and so I was uprooted from seeing my family every day, Sunday dinners, all those different things, to I don't know anybody here.
Mm.
I'm in middle school and I hate it here. I'm in a very different environment in terms of schooling. Um, it was just a huge culture shock for me. And so my mom was like, nope, put her in therapy
Mm.
immediately. And so that's just kind of followed me throughout the course of my life. Like, oh, this is going on. Let me get a therapist.
Mm.
Um, and so I guess because I am a professional therapy attendee, um, I have learned how to kind of game the system.
Mm.
And so if I have a therapist that is like just letting me just say all kinds of bullshit and not checking me, I very quickly lose interest.
Mm.
However, when I have a therapist who is like, you said XYZ this week, but last week you said ABC and those things don't match. What are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm like, okay, I can invest in this. I can spend my time and energy in this. And my therapist, my current therapist, um, is is that person for me. And so I'm pretty sure this has come up like in our conversations of like, hey sis, um, spending 8 hours job searching and not getting the job, it's obviously not working. You need to do something differently. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think it just kind of goes back to what I said earlier about growing up in the church and knowing like, okay, let me pray about this. Let me find a way to meditate on this because it's not working. What do I need to do differently?
Mm.
Um, and honestly, I got tired of being sad and depressed all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm yeah, like my humor became I have a very dry humor, but like when I am like constantly joking, I'm constantly trying to make people laugh, I know something's something's wrong.
Mm.
Something's wrong internally because I'm not willing to sit with anything. It's
Mm.
like no, it just needs to be fun and ha 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 all the time.
Mm. Mm.
And so it was like, okay, you need to create strategies for yourself. The same way that you create strategies at work, you need to
Mm.
create strategies for yourself. And so whether that is you know, watching a new soap opera. Like I haven't watched soap opera since I was in high school. But
Mm.
like I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. Turns out I love it. Whether it's you know, getting fancy tumblers, so I make myself want to drink water every
Mm.
day. Whether it is I am creating a manifestation portal in Notion
Mm.
because I started seeing all these job descriptions talking about Notion, and I was like, oh, I don't know how to use that.
Mm.
Let me teach myself. So pairing it with something that I'm really passionate about, which is manifesting, but doing that, like finding ways to teach myself things, to learn new things, to ask questions, to position myself to have these types of conversations.
Mm.
Um, it yeah. I don't want to say it came naturally because I don't think that's true, but
Yeah.
it once it was like, oh, job searching doesn't have to be boring. It can be fun. You can make it fun. It's like, oh, okay, well, maybe I can add this thing and maybe I can add this element. So, yeah.
Mm. So there's a few things in there that like I want to touch on. The first thing is that like at the beginning of our conversation we talked about how black folks like use levity to like navigate
Hmm.
difficulty. And
Hmm.
even in your situation, you recognize within yourself that uh, you when you overuse levity or you overuse humor that there's something wrong because you don't want to sit in the messiness or other feelings that
Right.
exist. So that's the first one that I noticed. Then the second one
Hmm.
is like you made a decision to make a change
Yeah.
in like the in the things that you were experiencing. Like, you don't want to be sad, you don't want to be depressed anymore. Like, something obviously needs to change. Like, what needs to change? And so,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I and then there was one other one, but it's not coming to mind, so I'm just gonna move on. Maybe it'll come back. But those two things are so interesting because one, it's like the self awareness that it takes there too, and I think that
Mhm.
there's something about that I've talked about in my coaching practice, but recognize within myself too, is like at a certain point, like a decision has to be made
Right.
of whether or not you are going to continue along the same path and do the same things that will end up in the same
Mhm.
results, i.e., feeling frustrated, sad, angry, annoyed, um, all of the things that don't equal happiness or long-term happiness or
Right.
joy, right?
Mhm.
Or you're gonna, change something. Like, you're going to do something
Right.
about it. You're gonna recognize something's wrong and you're going to do something about it. I think that's the two steps.
Sure.
And I love how, like, for you, one, it came with, shout out therapy, shout out your therapist, but it's like the recognition of something needs to change, right?
Yeah.
And also doing something about it. I think recognizing and doing are completely different things, because I feel like sometimes folks get stuck on, like, oh, I know
Absolutely.
this. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, like, just because you name it doesn't mean
Right.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and
So,
I think that's a really big thing. And at my big age, I've tried a whole lot of
mm,
stuff. And I, I've tried alcohol, didn't work. So I cut alcohol out of my life two
mm,
years ago. Um, I I realized I was never a drinker. Like I never used to drink at home.
mm,
And then the pandemic hit, and it was like, oh, Costco, Costco liquor store,
mm-hmm,
great. And so I went from socially drinking to I'm having a glass of wine every night, and I'm having like hard liquor every other day, like things like that. And so it's like, okay, let's cut that out. Did that. But I was still deep, deep, deep um in depression. And so it's like, okay, you've been in therapy for all this time, like maybe talk therapy isn't for you. So I was like, okay, let's try some other methods or modalities of therapy,
mm,
um, which worked. I went on medication, and after 6 months or so, I was like, okay, this is not working, and I don't
mm-hmm,
like how this makes me feel. Um, and so I think it, you're right. I think it does take a lot of self awareness, but it also takes the courage to do something about it. Like
mm,
I I am clinically I have clinical depression. Like there's no joy that can take that away, right? Like
mm,
um there's no amount of laughter that makes my generalized anxiety disorder go away.
mm,
However, there are ways that I have chosen to live with those things, and not be just those things, right? Like
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
when I meet people or when I am applying for jobs or whatever it is, like I don't want it to be said that, oh yeah, that's the depressed girl, like,
yeah.
or that's the anxious
Exactly.
girl. Like no,
Yes.
there
Yes.
are so many different layers to me.
Mm,
And I think a lot of that comes from releasing the shame around those things,
mm, mm,
and learning to live with them. Like they don't have to cripple me unless I choose for them to. So
mm-hmm,
if I choose to stay in bed all day and I don't open the blinds and let some sunlight in, okay, that's a choice though. Like
mm-hmm,
everybody gets to make choices.
mm,
I live by that. Like everybody gets to make choices. However, you can't control the consequences of the choices that you make. And
mm.
so I just wanted different consequences. So I had to make better choices.
Mm. Well, first, thank you so much for sharing that, not only with me, but like the listeners.
Yeah.
I feel honored and always thankful when folks share something so deep and personal. Number
Yeah.
one. But too, I think the powerful thing in that, what you said, is like there's different aspects of our identity and who we are.
Mhm.
And sometimes I think there are certain aspects that, although they might be a small part, or they spent so much time dictating and driving, I guess, our decisions, how we went about life, so on and so forth, that like when it comes to making a decision and making that change in our lives, it feels so overwhelming
Mhm.
and hard, i.e., general anxiety disorder or depression or um,
Mhm.
introvertedness or whatever have you, like whatever that aspect of who you are is, um, that like when you make that decision, it is courageous. Like you said, it is courageous to make a decision, to make a change, and
Mhm.
to not allow those things to dictate or rule or um, make those choices for us and how we choose to live our lives. Um, and that really also like reminds me of something about joy, because growing up I feel like whether I was socialized by outside influences or my family systems or whatever,
Mhm.
I believe that joy was like this binary way, like this or that, black and white, whatever. It's like,
Mhm.
joy,
Mhm.
you're happy, you're smiling, you don't talk about anything bad, or you ignore the bad things, like they don't, like you just ignore them.
Right.
Yeah. Or it's just like you're not joyful, like life sucks, this is shitty, fuck it, everything, burn it down, whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, but what I've learned, particularly very similarly in the last 5-ish to 7 years, um, within my own journey of understanding who I am and growing in my own self awareness and
Mhm.
loving myself again, which is like all
Mhm.
aspects of who I am, even the parts that I like tried to deny or hated for a long time, is that
Mhm.
like joy exists in all, can exist in all those seasons. Like
Mhm. Absolutely.
it can, and it just looks differently. And so we have an
Right.
expectation of what joy looks like, an
Mhm.
expectation of what joy is supposed to feel like. And when we don't feel that or see that or experience that, I think that we get not only discouraged, but like those voices that were speaking like were whispers or loud or driving before get even louder
Mhm.
when we try so hard to make
Yeah.
changes and they just don't work. Um,
Right.
yeah.
I wonder, as you were talking, something came to mind, and I wonder how often we or people um, don't seek joy or pursue joy because there is that expectation that, like, I'm supposed to be happy all the time. And if
Damn.
I'm
Mm.
not happy all the time, then I obviously did something wrong. And so I wonder if maybe we need to reframe how we think about joy,
Mm.
if we need to reframe how we think about the courage that it takes to pursue um, what we consider positive emotions and
Mm.
understanding that, like, hey, life is not linear. Like, we are not happy all the time. We're not sad all the time. We're not, you know, laughing all the time. We're not crying all the time. Like,
Mm.
there has to be some waves. There has to be some understanding that you're not going to be magically like, oh, I'm happy every single day,
Mm.
and every
Mm.
single day is the greatest single day ever. And no, because that's I am very much like the Lulu is a Lulu.
Okay.
However, to an extent, right? Like
Yeah. Yes.
you can't walk through life like this this faux happiness because
Mm.
it's not sustainable. Like
Yeah.
it's it's so much undue pressure to put on yourself. And I think we've kind of like made it seem like, oh no, the people who, have joy are the ones who are happy all the time, or
Mm.
they're
Mm.
always helping, or they're always, you know, solving everybody's problems. No, no, they're not.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's a really good question. And I am curious. Well, your question strikes me really hard because I am
Hmm.
wondering if that is what I experienced myself. Like, was I actually scared to pursue true joy, which, in my opinion, has a lot to do with like this interconnected sense of self, as well as like
Mm-hmm.
interconnected sense of self, like an understanding of or an awareness of self, a
Mm-hmm.
um like a sureness in like who you are, where you're going, what you're doing, but also if none of those things were to happen, like it's still okay, right? Like you can still find something that will continue to move you forward. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious for my like your question makes me think like, did I avoid true joy because like I was scared to be disappointed?
Mm.
And I think that that's a very powerful question because it's not even if it's not just like even if it's not just damn. Okay, I need to sit with that question a little bit.
The guest has become the host.
I know, right? I love when this happens. The reason why I am struggling with this because I think I'm feeling this a lot
Mm-hmm.
is because I think I did feel that. Like it
Mm-hmm.
is I think to have such high expectations to like have this idea of what joy is supposed to be that like you can like you just want to claim it so bad. Like you
Yeah.
like what a world it would be to be happy all the time. What a world would it would be like that all my problems did not exist, that like I had all the money that I needed, that like I had the job that I wanted, that like my relationships were great. I had a great car, great house. Like I could take the vacation, like all of the things, whatever like seemingly makes you happy.
Sure.
But when none of those things happen, like when none of those things, like despite the work that you did or anything like that, like
Mm-hmm.
it is a gigantic letdown. And it's reminding of my career joy framework. I created
Mm-hmm.
like something called career joy, but there's also
Mm-hmm.
career despair, which like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what you've done in your career journey, classes, effort, time, you feel like it's stagnant, you're not going anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just eh. And like how
Mm-hmm.
big of a fucking letdown does that feel? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that there's a deep question there that like
Mm.
can we reframe what joy is supposed to be? Can we reshape what joy is supposed to be? That it isn't like a trip to Bora Bora, even though like me and my wife were able to do that a few years ago after saving a while,
Mhm.
and it was incredible. But I think
Right.
we have had moments on a damn walk that's free in our
Mm-hmm.
neighborhood that like we laughed just as much as we did on that trip that cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yep.
I think just reframing it and like understanding, yes, that it's not linear. Like that's a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful framing there. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. I think um I read something or heard something. This Now listen, this could have been my therapist. It could have been Chat GPT. I don't know.
Okay.
But I read something or heard something. I think it was Chat GPT now that I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
But I it said you're not stuck, you're scared. And I
Mm-hmm.
said,
Well, hold on now. Hold
excuse
on now. Hold on. Don't read all of me.
um and I yeah, it was Chat GPT because I remember my exact reaction and I said, "Oh, you know what? It's time to close the laptop for the day."
Yeah.
Um and I realized like, "Oh, okay. You are trying to live up to expectations that people have of you or that you think people have of you.
Mm.
You're not trying to pursue things that you're truly passionate about that mean something to you.
Mm.
You're trying to do what you think will make other people happy.
Mm.
And so you think you're stuck. You think you don't know what it is that you want. That's not true. You're just scared to say, hey, this is what I want, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to build, this is what I want to create, so on and
Mm,
so forth. And so I think that has kind of helped me in the last year or so, um, to really like be intentional about the connections that I'm making, the work that I'm doing, the work that I want to do, the jobs that I'm looking for, um, being very clear about the type of work that I want to do. I am approaching my 40th birthday.
mm,
And so as I think about 40 to 49, like what do I want that to look like?
mm.
How do I want that to be different from my 30s? How do I want it to be different from my 20s? Um, so yeah, I think there is a lot of um, interrogation that we have to do with ourselves to really understand like what does joy mean? Like what does joy look like? What does peace mean? What does that look like? Um, what are examples that I've seen in my own life of peace? Like when I watch TV or when I read a book or when I talk to people, like what are they saying that sounds like peace to me?
Mm,
Because I think once we're able to identify what those things are and what they look like, we're able to see them more easily.
mm. That's so true. I had a thought, and what you just said reminded me of this. Is like I'm gonna write a post on it,
Hmm.
maybe today, maybe
I love
tomorrow. But
it.
it's the difference between self confidence and like self confidence and or confidence and like cockiness. Like that's the
Mm,
thing. And so like when I was thinking about it, it's like self confidence or having confidence in yourself is not cockiness because it is a self assuredness in your abilities, your skills, your knowledge. It's like self awareness of like who you are and what you're
hmm.
capable of. Um,
Yeah.
and like when you posture when you have that posture of confidence, the process of creating, the process of doing is much more fulfilling because like you're doing
Mm.
it out of a true sense of like I want to do this. Like you're
And it's so much
performing for your
easier.
yeah, you're performing for yourself and nobody else, right? Um,
Hmm.
and you're putting out there. And even when the product, service, thing that you do, writing that you do, doesn't get the response that you were expecting, you
Hmm.
recognize it's not a hit on who you are. Um, it's actually an opportunity to like make something better, make tweaks. Or
Hmm.
that thing was just something that you created for fun and it exists and it's okay. That's it, you know? But
Right.
you're able to receive and take feedback more because it's not so personal. You're not doing it for other. It's just, this is it. Like it is.
Hmm.
Cockiness is like a insecure, lack of awareness, performative confidence where like it's not
Yeah.
coming from you. You are doing it for everybody else. You have no idea who you
Hmm.
are. You have no idea like your skills. You're not confident in your skills. You have no like um, confidence in like what you've built, your experience, all that stuff. So you pretend.
Right.
And so the work,
Hmm.
the things that you produce, the things that you do are just shallow projections of what you think other people want rather than
Hmm.
what you actually want to do. Um,
Absolutely.
that thought just hit me on this is why I walk so much. It hit me on a walk. That hit me on a
I love
walk because I'm like the like it's so true and I need to hone that in a little bit, but it's very true and what you said just like yeah, just reminded me of that thought of like taking that time to understand yourself. You will inevitably like land and feel more confident because like you've explored it, you've asked the questions of yourself
it.
and tried to
Hmm.
see examples and made those changes and like you don't just wake up confident. Some people do. It's weird, but even if you ask them, like, no, I not always, but
Hmm.
but I think that it is a journey. And that was the
Right.
other thing I was gonna say. I knew it was gonna come back earlier. Call back. I was gonna say like there's a journey aspect of like even what you experienced and what you went through that you talked about,
Hmm.
which I think is something that is really overlooked. And so I think that there's
Yeah.
the journey to self awareness, the journey to joy is not always linear. It's not going to be a straight line, but it's like you are learning yourself. You are understanding yourself.
Hmm.
You are understanding what actually makes you happy, or did somebody tell you that this is supposed to make you happy, or
Yeah.
culturally you feel pressured that this is you're supposed to do this, or family time, whatever it is, right? So
Mhm.
full circle, I found
I
it again.
love
I
it.
found it again. So, 30 minutes
I love
later.
it. That's okay. It came back when it was supposed to.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Um, do you think that joy is something that we can model for others?
Absolutely.
Mm,
I absolutely like I am really big on leading with honesty.
mm,
Um and and that is not always easy.
mm,
Um my mom and I um have become extremely close. Like my mom and have always been really close.
mm,
But I would say over the last year, we've just gotten a lot closer. And um, one of the things that was really meaningful to me, we were having a conversation a couple weeks ago and talking about um, a community that I founded, Black Girl Season. And we're just talking, and she stops in the middle of what she's saying, and she's like, I need to apologize to you. And I was like, what? And she was like, I need to apologize to you. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, when you were younger, I didn't understand you to be a dream builder. Like that wasn't
mm, mm,
that wasn't familiar to me, and so I didn't know how to necessarily parent you
mm,
or how to um pour into you so that you could create more and so that you could lead in the way that you were leading now. And I'm really grateful that you found a way to still do that and to still be that person. But I'm sorry because I didn't understand. And you teach me things every day. So now we're both crying. Like
mm.
I'm sobbing, Jonathan.
Oh my
I'm like,
gosh.
okay, thank
Yeah.
you so much. But for me, like I spent a lot of time with that, sit, sitting with that because one, I didn't know I needed to hear
Mm,
that.
mm,
And I think like I've talked about this many a time, but I think it's really important for parents to um, model behavior for their children.
mm,
So because I think that that is important, I think it's also important for leaders in whatever space you find yourself to model things for your community. And so if I want people to be compassionate, to be vulnerable, to be joyful, um, to express the full gamut of their emotions, then I have to do that too. And
mm,
so that looks like writing content about depression and
mm,
like how I know when I'm having a depressive episode, like how I know when that's happening and what I do about
mm,
that. It looks like me talking about the ways that I find joy in my job search. Like I've been job searching for a long
mm,
time. But it is because I am committed to meaningful work. I'm not willing to just work for the sake of working. I'm
mm,
not. And so it looks like me going to therapy regularly and like unpacking things so that I can create from a space of honesty and from a space of self awareness and a space of passion. Like I am very passionate about the work that I do, the things that I talk about. But it is because I've spent time with myself, learning me and understanding me. And so when we look around and we don't see people who are leading with vulnerability or who are leading with joy or creativity or whatever it is, um, I think it's a moment for a check for us to say,
mm,
okay, wait a minute. Like just because I don't see it being modeled doesn't mean I can't model
mm,
it. And it might be uncomfortable, it might be difficult, it might feel foreign, but the more you do things, the more comfortable it becomes, I guess.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I think there's just a lot of opportunity to um, try. Like that is my goal, my mantra for 2025. I am I am happy to be seen trying.
Mm.
I might fail, I might completely bomb, but I want to be able to have people say, you know what, she tried.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I think so too. And I also think it's like joy can be contagious. Similarly,
Hmm.
that vulnerability can be contagious. Like one of the things that like I get told a lot is like, "Oh, thank you so much for sharing that." You know, I just and then it just like shifts the space, right? Even in
Yeah,
our
absolutely.
conversation, like I could tell when you opened up or I opened up a little bit. It just makes a shift in
Hmm.
the conversation, and I know folks that are listening or watching felt the shift in the conversation where like no, I can lean all the way in here and not like
Hmm.
really have to have my guard up or do that or whatever. Like I can be here, I can be present. And I think there's very
Right.
similar aspects of like similar to vulnerability like joy does that. Um
Hmm.
uh like there's like some
Yeah.
connection that could be had. So I love that. Um uh
Yeah.
we're getting close here, but I'm curious for folks listening who are in a hard season, I think particularly
Hmm.
those who are stuck, and in your words, like you're not stuck, you're scared. Maybe they're scared. What would you say to them about joy right now?
Joy does not have to be the way I talk about it. It doesn't have to be the way Jonathan talks about it. Joy is very personal, and joy is what you want it to be. And so, if it is, maybe it is the trip to Bora Bora, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe that is the fullest expression of joy that a person can think of. But maybe treating yourself to a pastry
Mm-hmm.
can be a joyful experience. Maybe going for a walk because it is now officially spring. Like last week, absolutely not. No, it was it was not. Like I feel like we had one day in New York last week when it was like, oh, it is hot outside.
Mm.
But then it was like, oh, it's 40 degrees outside. Now, no, the weather is nice. I feel like the weather is kind of settling. We're leaning into spring, and so maybe it's going for a walk. Maybe it is going and sitting in a park, taking your journal with you, and writing. You know what? This breeze feels really good on my face.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's a dog that is just having a great time playing catch with its person,
Mm-hmm.
and that is something that makes you smile, makes you happy. And so I think just every day, just try and find one thing that feels good for you. And it's, it may not be the thing that like takes over your whole day. You might be sad 15 minutes after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. And so build on that, build on that. When you find things that fit, remember them, write them down so that when you are having a hard season, you can say, you know what? The last time I felt like this, I did XYZ and it worked. So let me try it again.
Mm.
That's what I would say.
Absolutely. I love that. And don't forget to joy stack. You got to like do something with that. That
Yes.
was great. I love that.
I'm going to write a post about it, Jonathan.
Yeah, there
You
it is. I
convinced
love
me.
it. All right. So I'm asking each guest this question. What's currently bringing you joy in this season of your life?
Okay.
She
There are
ready.
a
She
couple of
ready.
things. I'm so ready. There are a couple of things, Jonathan. So I feel like we talked about my Apple obsession when we met. Um, so I don't know really where it came from, but I am on the mission to eat an apple a day.
Mm.
So far, I've done very well. This started like mid February, so I've had an apple a day. I have found a website that ranks apples,
Oh,
and so I make my purchasing decisions based on this website.
All right now.
It's applerankings.com.
Okay.
Um, so I might have some Apple rankings of my own, in the near future once I get well versed enough
Okay.
in Apple variety. But that has been a true joy.
Mm.
Um, Let me think. So apples are really big for me right now. Reading. I read like it is my full time job, and I am
Mm.
not ashamed of that. Like I
Shoot.
read
Yeah.
for leisure. I am either reading fiction or self help. Those are my two genres right now. I'm on a mission to read 30,000 pages this year.
Nice.
The last I checked, I am at like 14,500 or so.
Okay.
So
We
I'm
still
gonna knock
early.
this out before I.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because I read a lot, Jonathan. I read a lot. I always have my Kindle. I don't leave this house without my Kindle.
Mm.
So when I'm on the train, I'm reading. When I am walking through the botanical garden, I'm reading. I'm trying to joy stack. So I love reading. I love botanical gardens. So it's like, okay, let's combine these two things and make it an even more incredible experience.
Mm.
Um, so those are the two big things for me right now: apples and books.
I love that. Also, I love reading and I love apples. And I had a
Yes.
Cosmic Crisp apple recently. That thing, one of the best apples I've ever had. No cap. That apple was so good.
Cosmic crisp apples,
Uh huh.
sweet tango apples, but you have to try them like August to October is
Okay, I'll
their
wait. I'll
their
wait.
peak season.
Okay.
Sweet tango apples, cosmic crisp apples, and I think it's Kanzi or it's something with a K. I'm
Okay.
gonna I'm gonna find it and let
Well,
you know what.
I'm not going to lie to you. I was so curious about this applerankings.com. And I love their tagline. You've been eating trash.
No, listen, because I used to eat Granny Smith apples like they're
Yeah.
going out of style, and I was like, oh, they're trash. Oh,
Dude.
I
Dude,
didn't
this is
know.
funny. I said, "Oh man!" And even gala apples. I thought gala apples were good. These things get. So
Listen,
I've been eating trash. So Conti apples. That's another one I gotta. Yeah, pink ladies are good.
yes,
So all right, this is
pink
amazing.
lady,
Put me
good.
on.
Yes,
All
I'm
right.
excited. I'm gonna have an apple after we
Oh my god, that's amazing. Well,
wrap up.
Chantel, thank you.
Maybe two.
Oh, say that again.
I said maybe two.
Okay. Well, Chantel, thank you so much for coming through. This was so fun. I already knew this was gonna be a great conversation. I appreciate you
Yeah.
hanging in with me with the with my running late, literally running in late. Um, I appreciate you. So, where can folks tap in with you? Keep up with what you're doing. I would love to plug all that stuff in the show notes.
I am on LinkedIn all the time, every day. So I am Shauntelle Carnegie on LinkedIn. I am around IG and TikTok. I have started to create on TikTok
Hello.
after 3 years. Okay, after 3 years, I am being seen trying. So
Mm,
I am on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook at Kiko Kaviri,
okay.
KeikoKaveri. Yeah, but the best way to find me is on LinkedIn. Send me a message. Let's chat.
All right. Yes, I will plug all of those things in the show notes. Chantel, thank you so much for everything you shared today. I mean, I just I can get emotional talking about it. I get so thankful when folks just come and share. Um, I feel honored that they want to open up and share their story with us, especially so vulnerably. And I know listeners appreciate it too. So thank you so much for coming through. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed our time together, Jonathan.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. Till next time. Peace.
Take care.
I really, really enjoy when I have conversations like that. And Y'all, sometimes when I record episodes, I record them, if you haven't guessed it, I record them ahead of time and then I edit way later, and sometimes they drop and stuff has happened, whatever. We talk about it in the episode, whatever. But like when I come back to editing these shows and I listen back to the conversations, I'm just like so happy because what me and Shauntelle talked about and dove into, like, is just at the heart of what I really wanted to talk about this season, and just finding ways to reframe what it means to be joyful. And I mentioned this before, and I'm probably going to touch on it in our season closer, but for me, it's like I grew up in the church, and a good portion of my life was, you know, joy cometh from the Lord, right? Like peace comes from the Lord, happiness comes from the Lord. Like, and after I left that community, I really didn't know like these different aspects about myself, what I actually found to be joyful, because there's kind of like in some ways stifling of that, because you are a Christian first and person second, and there's some nuance in there, but just from my experience, that's what I experienced. And so like leaving that community, like it's been a journey to like trying to figure out like who Jonathan is and what brings him joy. And a thing that really stuck out to me was how Shauntelle reframed us feeling stuck was actually maybe being scared. And at least for me, that's true. How like I, thinking about joy, wanting to pursue something that like would be fulfillment for me, I didn't. And I felt stuck, but I was actually really scared to move. Scared to like do the thing that like probably would make me happy or even joyful or fulfilled or excited or at peace. And I've been reflecting on that a lot in recent years. And it has just been a wonderful experience and difficult, and kind of like that. Also, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas come up of like, why didn't I do this sooner? Why didn't I do this sooner? Why didn't I do this sooner? But this is like, you know, I could do that all day, but it has been absolute joy to rediscover who I am and what makes me happy, what makes me joyful, and like what gives me fulfillment. And still being scared, but leaning more so into that and stepping into courage. Like that is the thing. That was another thing we talked about, is like there is a courage that it takes to be happy, that it takes to be joyful, that it takes to pursue this thing that feels so elusive. There's a courage there. So it was really, really, it was just a really good conversation. I love those. I love those. Thank you, Shauntelle, for reminding me and all of us that joy isn't about being happy all of the time. It's about finding a way to keep going even in hard seasons. And it could be, you know, apples and soap operas, but it's also like therapy and honesty and courage, and the decision to not let sadness or fear have the final word in our lives. So yeah, it's not a one-stop, you know, one-time destination, y'all. It's a continuous journey. Really good stuff. Thank you so much, Shauntelle. So I'm curious for you, as you were listening, what resonated with you most? Maybe it was the idea that being stuck is really just being scared. Maybe it was the reminder that joy doesn't have to be loud or even linear. Or maybe it was simply realizing you could treat yourself to a pastry or a walk in the park and call that joy. Whatever it was, I'd love to hear from you. You could drop a comment if you're watching on YouTube, or send me a note through the link in the show notes. Or you can email us at highlyvisiblepodcast@gmail.com. Love to hear from y'all. And hey, if you are enjoying these conversations, make sure you are subscribed, whether you're listening on your favorite podcast app or watching on YouTube. That way you won't miss when we drop. We only have a couple more episodes, y'all, so you really don't want to miss this. I think that's it, y'all. Not a long or deep reflection this time, just, you know, thankfulness and gratitude. So Until next time, y'all take care of yourself. Stay cool. Peace.